Have you ever woken up from a dream that felt so real, so vivid, that you couldn't shake it from your mind all day? Perhaps you were falling from a great height, your teeth suddenly fell out, or you were being chased by something you couldn't quite see. These dream experiences connect us all, transcending cultures, ages, and backgrounds, a universal language our sleeping minds speak. Welcome to 10 Common Dreams and What They Really Mean, where we'll explore the mysterious world of our sleeping minds and what those recurring dreams might be trying to tell us. In this comprehensive journey, we'll not only examine these familiar dreamscapes but delve into their psychological underpinnings, cultural interpretations across history, and the latest scientific research on why we experience them. I'm not talking about fortune-telling or supernatural predictions. Instead, we'll look at how dreams often reflect our subconscious thoughts, fears, and desires, providing valuable insights into our waking lives. Dreams serve as windows into parts of ourselves we might not fully acknowledge when awake, processing emotions, memories, and concerns in the safety of our sleeping minds. Before we dive in, remember that dream interpretation isn't an exact science. These meanings are based on psychological perspectives and cultural patterns, but your personal experiences always add unique context to your dreams. What frightens one person may comfort another, what symbolizes loss to someone might represent liberation to someone else. That's the fascinating complexity of our dreaming minds, they're as individual as we are. Throughout human history, dreams have been regarded as everything from divine messages to meaningless neural static. Ancient civilizations built elaborate systems for interpreting dreams, while modern neuroscience continues to unravel the complex brain mechanisms behind them. From Freud's view of dreams as repressed wishes to Jung's concept of the collective unconscious, we continue to be fascinated by what happens when we close our eyes at night. The latest research suggests dreams play crucial roles in memory consolidation, emotional processing, and even problem solving. That strange scenario your brain conjured might actually be helping you work through challenges or prepare for future scenarios. Your dreaming mind is never truly at rest, it's processing, sorting, and making connections that your conscious mind might miss. Now, let's unlock the mysteries behind those nighttime stories your brain keeps telling you. Falling. That sudden jolt as you're drifting off to sleep, the sensation of plummeting through space, falling dreams are incredibly common and often jarring. Sometimes you're tumbling from a cliff edge, sometimes from a high-rise building, sometimes simply losing your footing and plunging into darkness. Many people report waking with a physical start, their bodies actually jerking as if bracing for impact. The falling sensation typically occurs during the hypnagogic state, that transitional period between wakefulness and sleep. As your body relaxes and your conscious mind begins to surrender control to your subconscious, your brain sometimes misinterprets this physical relaxation as actually falling. This creates a protective startle response, jolting you awake just as you were drifting off. But beyond this physiological explanation, falling dreams that occur during deeper sleep phases often carry psychological significance worth exploring. Psychologically, falling represents feelings of insecurity, anxiety, or loss of control. When you dream of falling, your subconscious might be signaling that something in your life feels unstable, perhaps a relationship, your career, or a major decision you're facing. The lack of solid ground beneath you mirrors an internal sense that you've lost your footing in some aspect of your waking life. The details of your falling dream provide additional insights. Falling in slow motion might suggest you feel helpless but are aware of what's happening. A free fall at high speed could indicate a situation rapidly spinning out of control. If you land safely or fly instead of crash, it might reflect your confidence in ultimately handling whatever challenges come your way. Interestingly, these dreams often occur during life transitions. That new job or relationship might be exciting, but your brain is processing the uncertainty that comes with change. Major milestones like graduation, marriage, parenthood, or retirement frequently trigger falling dreams as we adjust to new identities and responsibilities. Falling has symbolized spiritual and emotional concepts across cultures for millennia. In many shamanic traditions, deliberate falling or soul flight represents the journey between worlds and gaining spiritual insight. Ancient Greek and Roman dream interpreters viewed falling as an ill omen, while some Eastern philosophies see it as releasing attachments to the material world. Modern dream analysts like Carl Jung might interpret falling as the necessary surrender of the ego, letting go of control to experience personal growth. This perspective frames falling not as failure but as a necessary step in the journey of self-discovery. Modern sleep science has documented the prevalence of falling dreams, particularly during periods of stress. During REM sleep, the brainstem sends signals that temporarily paralyze our muscles, preventing us from acting out our dreams, but awareness of this paralysis can sometimes translate into falling sensations within the dream narrative. Researchers have noted interesting patterns. People experiencing major life stressors report falling dreams 5 times more frequently than those in stable periods. Additionally, those who experienced actual falls or accidents in childhood report more frequent and intense falling dreams throughout life. If falling dreams are recurring in your life, consider these questions. What areas of my life feel unstable or out of my control right now? Am I taking a risk or making a transition that makes me feel vulnerable? Where might I need to surrender control or trust the process? What safety measures or support systems could help me feel more secure? Sometimes, acknowledging the uncertainty you're facing is enough to reduce these dreams' frequency. Creating small rituals of stability, regular meal times, consistent sleep schedules, or daily mindfulness practices can help ground you during periods of transition. Consider Sarah, a marketing executive who began experiencing intense falling dreams after being promoted to director. In her dreams, she would be presenting to clients when the floor would suddenly disappear, sending her plummeting through darkness. Through journaling, Sarah realized these dreams reflected her imposter syndrome, fears that she wasn't qualified for her new role and would eventually fall or be exposed. By acknowledging these fears, setting up mentoring sessions with senior colleagues, and creating structured systems for her new responsibilities, Sarah found the falling dreams gradually subsided. Her subconscious no longer needed to process these fears so intensely once she addressed them in her waking life. Being chased. Heart pounding, legs heavy, unable to escape whatever's behind you, chase dreams can be terrifying. You're running through endless corridors, unfamiliar streets, or childhood locations with something or someone in pursuit. No matter how fast you run, the threat remains just behind you. Sometimes you can't see your pursuer. Sometimes it's a monster stranger, or even someone familiar. These dreams often invoke a profound sense of vulnerability, the feeling that no matter how hard you try, you cannot escape. Many people report their legs feeling sluggish or heavy during chase dreams, as if running through molasses. This physical sensation of restraint amplifies the frustration and fear these dreams provoke. Chase dreams are among the most common stress dreams reported across cultures and age groups, appearing frequently during periods of heightened anxiety or unresolved conflict. Being pursued in dreams typically symbolizes avoidance. Your subconscious is highlighting something you're running from in your waking life, maybe a responsibility, a difficult conversation, or even aspects of yourself you're unwilling to confront. The chase represents the persistent nature of unaddressed issues. They continue to follow you until acknowledged. Pay attention to who or what is chasing you. A stranger might represent the unknown or an unfamiliar challenge you're facing. A familiar person could directly connect to unresolved issues with them. Animals often represent instincts or emotions. A wild beast might symbolize untamed anger or passion. An insect might represent small irritations that have grown overwhelming. The environment of the chase also matters. Being chased through your childhood home might connect to unresolved family issues. A workplace setting could indicate professional anxieties. Dark, unfamiliar landscapes might represent unexplored aspects of your psyche you're afraid to face. Chase narratives appear in mythology and folklore worldwide, often representing the soul's journey in confrontation with shadow aspects of the self. In many indigenous dream traditions, being pursued by an animal is seen as a powerful message from the spirit world, perhaps a totem animal seeking to guide you. Jungian psychology interprets chase dreams as encounters with the shadow, the aspects of ourselves we reject or deny. From this perspective, being chased represents the opportunity for integration and wholeness if we turn and face what pursues us. Neurological studies show chase dreams activate the amygdala, our brain's fear center, even more intensely than actual threatening situations in waking life. This explains why the emotional impact of these dreams can linger long after waking. Research into childhood development reveals that chase dreams begin early, around age 3, and peak during adolescence, when identity formation and social pressures intensify. However, they continue throughout adulthood, especially during periods of significant stress or change. Studies of people with anxiety disorders show they experience chase dreams 3 times more frequently than the general population, suggesting these dreams may serve as processing mechanisms for persistent anxieties. If chase dreams recur in your life, ask yourself, what difficult situation or emotion am I avoiding confronting? What would happen if I stopped running and faced my pursuer? What resources or support would help me confront what I'm avoiding? What pattern from my past might be repeating that needs resolution? Many therapists suggest a technique called dream re-entry, consciously reimagining the dream while awake, but this time turning to face the pursuer and asking what it wants. This symbolic confrontation often yields surprising insights about unaddressed needs or fears. Michael, a college student, experienced recurring dreams of being chased by a shadowy figure through his university library. The dreams intensified before exams, leaving him exhausted. After discussing these dreams in therapy, Michael realized the pursuer represented his unacknowledged fear of academic failure and disappointing his family. Through confronting these fears directly, having honest conversations with his parents about academic pressure and developing realistic study plans, Michael found the chase dreams transformed. In subsequent dreams, he found himself still being pursued but finally turning to confront the figure, which would dissolve or sometimes even offer help. This transformation mirrored his growing ability to face his anxieties in waking life. Teeth falling out one moment everything's fine, the next your teeth are crumbling or falling out completely. This particularly vivid dream affects people across cultures and throughout history. Sometimes teeth crumble like chalk, sometimes they loosen and fall one by one, sometimes they shatter like glass. The sensation is often painless but profoundly disturbing, a fundamental part of yourself suddenly failing. Many people report looking in a mirror during these dreams, witnessing their transformation with horror. The tactile elements are particularly vivid, feeling teeth wobble with your tongue, the strange lightness as they fall out, sometimes even catching them in your hands. This vivid sensory experience explains why teeth dreams often feel so real and remain so memorable upon waking. Teeth dreams often relate to communication anxieties and personal power. Your teeth help you speak and eat, they're tools for expression and nourishment. When they fail in dreams, it might reflect fears about how you're communicating or concerns about your appearance and social standing. Some psychologists also connect these dreams to fears of aging, loss of attractiveness, or major life changes you feel unprepared for. Teeth symbolize permanence, they're among the most durable parts of our bodies, so their loss can represent anxiety about impermanence and mortality. Freudian interpretations famously connect teeth dreams to sexual anxiety or castration fears, though modern dream analysts typically favor broader interpretations about power and self-expression. Jung viewed teeth dreams as archetypal experiences related to rebirth and transformation, the necessary loss of one form before emerging anew. The specific details matter. Losing just one tooth might represent a specific regret or missed opportunity. Losing all teeth could symbolize a complete communication breakdown or identity crisis. Teeth dreams appear in the earliest recorded dream interpretations. Ancient Egyptian, Greek, and Chinese dream books all contain references to teeth falling out, often connecting them to predictions about family members' well-being or financial fortune. In some folk traditions, losing a tooth in a dream foretells a death, though this should be understood metaphorically as the end of a situation rather than literally. Other traditions view teeth dreams as warnings about dishonesty, either your own or someone else's. Modern dream dictionaries often emphasize the connection between teeth and appearance-based anxiety, reflecting our culture's emphasis on perfect smiles as social currency. Neurological research offers an interesting physiological explanation for teeth dreams: facial tension. Many people clench their jaw or grind their teeth while sleeping, bruxism, particularly during stressful periods. The physical sensations from this tension may be incorporated into dream narratives as teeth problems. Sleep studies show teeth dreams occur most often during periods of significant role transitions. Graduating students, new parents, and recent retirees all report higher frequencies of teeth dreams. This supports the theory that these dreams connect to identity concerns and self-presentation anxieties. Interestingly, dentists report that patients frequently schedule appointments after teeth dreams, convinced something is wrong with their dental health. This demonstrates the powerful impact these dreams can have on our waking behavior. If teeth dreams are appearing in your life, consider, what am I trying to communicate that feels difficult or impossible? Where might I be feeling powerless or unable to chew through a problem? Am I worried about how others perceive me or my competence? What aspects of aging or change am I resisting? These dreams often signal the need to address communication issues directly or to reconcile fears about losing control. Sometimes simply acknowledging these anxieties can reduce the dream's frequency. Lena, a normally confident public speaker, began experiencing teeth dreams before an important industry presentation. In her dreams, her teeth would crumble as she began speaking, leaving her mumbling incomprehensibly to confused audiences. Through reflection, Lena realized these dreams reflected her hidden insecurity about presenting technical information outside her core expertise. By addressing this directly, preparing more thoroughly, practicing with knowledgeable colleagues, and acknowledging her limitations in the presentation itself, Lena found the teeth dream subsided. Her subconscious no longer needed to express the anxiety her conscious mind had been suppressing. Being naked in public, you're giving a presentation or walking through a crowded space when you suddenly realize you're completely exposed, while everyone else remains fully clothed. Sometimes you're partially dressed, sometimes entirely naked. The setting is often a place where appearing naked would be particularly inappropriate, a workplace, classroom, or formal event. The emotional experience typically progresses from initial unawareness to sudden horrified realization, followed by desperate attempts to cover yourself or escape notice. Sometimes others point and laugh, sometimes they don't seem to notice at all. This variation in others' reactions provides important clues to the dream's meaning. Unlike many anxiety dreams that fade quickly, naked dreams often remain vivid in memory, likely because they tap into deep-seated social fears and vulnerability. Public nudity dreams typically represent vulnerability and fear of exposure. Perhaps you're worried about others discovering your flaws or secrets. These dreams often occur when starting new jobs, entering new social circles, or during periods of imposter syndrome, situations where you feel your authentic self might be judged or rejected. Notice how others react in your dream. Often, nobody seems to care about your nakedness, suggesting your fears of judgment may be exaggerated. If people do react negatively, it might reflect actual experiences of criticism or your projections of how others might respond if they saw the real you. The specific setting offers additional insights. Nakedness at work suggests professional insecurities, at school, intellectual self-doubt, in social gatherings, concerns about acceptance. The degree of exposure matters too. Being partially clothed might suggest feeling somewhat prepared but still vulnerable in certain areas. Nakedness in dreams appears across cultural dream traditions with remarkable consistency. Ancient Egyptian dream interpretations viewed nakedness as a warning against secrets being revealed. Biblical dream traditions often connected nakedness to shame, reflecting the Adam and Eve narrative. Interestingly, cultures with different attitudes toward nudity still report similar emotional experiences in naked dreams. Even in societies where communal bathing is normalized, dreaming of unexpected nakedness in inappropriate contexts still evokes anxiety, suggesting these dreams tap into universal concerns about social vulnerability rather than specific cultural taboos. Modern psychotherapy, particularly approaches influenced by Carl Rogers' work on authenticity, sometimes interprets naked dreams as positive signs of the psyche's desire for greater openness and congruence between public and private selves. Brain imaging studies reveal that naked dreams activate the same neural circuits involved in social anxiety disorders, particularly regions associated with fear of negative evaluation. This suggests these dreams help process and potentially master social anxieties. Developmental psychologists note that naked dreams first appear during early childhood, coinciding with the development of body awareness and social norms. They peak again during adolescence when social evaluation concerns intensify, and often resurface during major adult role transitions. Research into the prevalence of naked dreams shows they're among the most universal dream experiences, reported across age groups, genders, and cultures, though slightly more common among those with perfectionist tendencies. If naked dreams are appearing in your life, ask yourself, what aspects of myself am I afraid of others seeing or judging? In what situations do I feel most exposed or vulnerable? What would happen if I allowed myself to be more authentic? Where might my fears of judgment be exaggerated? These dreams often invite greater self-acceptance and realistic assessment of social risks. Sometimes the path to reducing their frequency lies in small acts of authentic self-expression in waking life. James, a new manager at a tech company, experienced recurring dreams of arriving at board meetings naked. In the dreams, he would desperately try to hide behind furniture while delivering presentations, yet strangely, none of the executives seemed to notice his predicament. Through journaling about these dreams, James recognized they reflected his fear of being exposed as underqualified for his promotion. The fact that nobody noticed his nakedness in the dreams suggested his competence fears were largely internal rather than reflected in colleagues' actual perceptions. James addressed these feelings by finding a mentor, being more open about his learning curve with his team, and recognizing that perfect competence wasn't expected in his new role. As his confidence grew, the naked dreams appeared less frequently and with less intensity, sometimes even transforming into dreams where he noticed he was dressed differently but not inappropriately. Flying. Unlike many common dreams, flying is usually exhilarating. Soaring through the air, feeling weightless and free. These dreams range from gentle floating just above the ground to dramatic, superhero-like flights above cities and landscapes. Sometimes you're flying naturally, like a bird, sometimes using devices or vehicles, sometimes simply defying gravity. The emotional tone typically includes wonder, liberation, and mastery, though sometimes anxiety about maintaining altitude or navigating obstacles appears. Many people report extraordinarily vivid sensory experiences: the rush of air, the visual perspective of seeing familiar places from above, the physical sensation of weightlessness. Flying dreams often rank among people's favorite dream experiences, frequently appearing on lists of dreams people wish they could revisit or control. Flying dreams often symbolize liberation, possibility, and perspective. They frequently appear during periods when you're feeling empowered or have overcome obstacles. The higher and more controlled your flight, the more mastery you likely feel in your waking life. However, if flying feels scary or unstable in your dream, it might indicate you're taking on challenges that feel beyond your current capabilities. Obstacles during flight, buildings, power lines, ceiling, may represent specific barriers you perceive to your progress or freedom. Pay attention to who accompanies you in flight. Flying alone often represents personal freedom. Flying with others might symbolize collaborative success or shared journey. Being taught to fly by another person could represent mentorship or guidance you're receiving. The environment you fly through provides additional context. Soaring through clear skies suggests optimism and clarity. Navigating storms or darkness might indicate challenges you're facing while still maintaining some control. Flight appears in mythology worldwide as a transcendent human aspiration, from Icarus and Daedalus to shamanic soul flights. Many spiritual traditions interpret flying dreams as soul journeys or connections to higher consciousness. In indigenous dreamwork traditions, flying often represents the shaman's journey between worlds. Ancient Chinese dream traditions viewed flying as an auspicious sign of spiritual advancement. Modern depth psychology, drawing on these ancient interpretations, often sees flying dreams as reflecting the transcendent function, the psyche's capacity to rise above conflicts and gain new perspective. Neuroscientific research offers interesting insights into flying dreams. During REM sleep, the brain's vestibular system, which controls balance and spatial orientation, becomes active while the body remains paralyzed. This combination sometimes creates sensations of floating or moving that the dreaming mind may interpret as flight. Studies show flying dreams are particularly common among people who practice meditation, suggesting a connection between these dreams and states of mental expansiveness. They also appear more frequently in people who report high creative achievement, pointing to possible connections with imaginative thinking. Fascinating research into flying dreams shows they're more common in people who experience being playfully thrown in the air as children, typically by parents, suggesting early positive experiences of weightlessness might plant the seeds for later flying dreams. If flying dreams appear in your life, consider, what limitations or constraints have I recently overcome? Where might I be experiencing new freedom or perspective? How controlled is my flight, and what does that suggest about my confidence? What obstacles appear during flight, and what might they represent? Flying dreams often arrive as confirmation of positive developments, encouragement to continue expanding your horizons and trusting your capabilities. Elena, a writer who had struggled with creative block for years, began experiencing vivid flying dreams after finally finishing her novel manuscript. In these dreams, she would soar over landscapes, sometimes recognizing places from her childhood, sometimes discovering entirely new territories. Through discussing these dreams in her writing group, Elena realized they reflected her newfound creative liberation. Having completed a long-term project, she felt free to explore new creative directions. The varying landscapes represented both returning to familiar themes and venturing into unexplored territory as a writer. Elena began keeping a flight journal alongside her regular writing, noting the details of these dreams and using them as creative prompts. This practice not only honored the significance of these dreams but transformed them into fuel for new creative work. Taking a test unprepared. The clock is ticking, you can't remember studying, and somehow you can't even read the questions. Test anxiety dreams can feel painfully real. Sometimes you can't find the exam room, sometimes you arrive late, sometimes you discover it's a subject you haven't studied, sometimes the questions appear in a language you don't understand. The emotional experience typically combines panic, confusion, and helplessness. Your desperate attempts to compensate, searching for notes, asking for help, trying to leave, usually prove futile. Time distortion often occurs, with the clock seemingly moving faster as your anxiety increases. What makes these dreams particularly interesting is their persistence long after formal education ends. People in their 70s and 80s still report test dreams decades after their last actual exam. These dreams typically reflect self-evaluation and fear of failure. They're common during periods of heightened stress or when you feel your performance is being judged. You don't have to be a student to have these dreams, they often persist decades after leaving school. Consider what test you might be facing in your waking life, perhaps a work evaluation, relationship milestone, or personal goal you've set. The subject of the exam often provides clues. Math tests might connect to financial concerns, language tests to communication challenges, history tests to situations requiring knowledge of past experiences. The specific obstacles in the dream offer additional insights. Being late suggests fear of missed opportunities, blank mind points to confidence issues, illegible questions might represent unclear expectations in your waking life. Test dreams appear consistently across cultures with formal education systems, though their specific forms reflect local educational practices. In societies with high-stakes national exams, like China's former imperial examinations or modern college entrance tests, these dreams take on particular intensity and cultural significance. Educational philosophers like John Dewey noted the persistence of school-based anxieties in adult dreams, suggesting this reveals something about how deeply educational experiences shape our sense of self-worth and social evaluation. Various spiritual traditions interpret test dreams differently. Some Buddhist approaches view them as reflections on karma and spiritual preparedness, while Western metaphysical traditions sometimes see them as soul examinations or life reviews. Cognitive research reveals interesting patterns in test dreams. They activate regions associated with executive function and assessment, suggesting they may serve as mental simulations that help us prepare for evaluative situations. Studies show these dreams occur most frequently among professionals in highly scrutinized fields, medical providers, performers, competitive athletes, and often before actual evaluative events. This suggests they may serve a preparatory function, rehearsing emotional regulation for high-pressure situations. Sleep researchers have documented that students experiencing test dreams before actual exams typically perform better than those who don't, provided the anxiety level in the dream isn't overwhelming. This suggests these dreams might help mobilize attention and resources for upcoming challenges. If test dreams appear in your life, ask yourself, what upcoming evaluation or judgment am I concerned about? Where do I feel unprepared or lacking confidence? What would genuine preparation look like in this situation? What's the worst that could happen if I fail, and how could I handle that? Sometimes these dreams highlight areas where additional preparation would be helpful, other times they reveal perfectionist tendencies that need addressing. The key question is whether they're motivating constructive preparation or simply reflecting excessive performance anxiety. David, a physician planning to switch specialties mid-career, began experiencing intense test dreams 20 years after completing medical school. In these dreams, he would discover he had to retake boards in subjects he barely remembered, with the exam papers written in indecipherable script. Through reflection, David recognized these dreams reflected his anxiety about being judged by younger colleagues in his new specialty. By acknowledging these fears and creating a structured study plan for his transition, David found the test dreams gradually transformed. In later dreams, he still faced challenging exams but found he could read at least some of the questions and had resources available to help. This transformation mirrored his growing confidence in waking life as he prepared for his professional transition, suggesting the dreams were processing and potentially helping resolve his performance anxieties. Death or dying. Dreams involving death, whether your own or someone else's, can be profoundly disturbing, but their meaning is rarely literal. These dreams take many forms. Sometimes you observe your own funeral, sometimes you experience the process of dying, sometimes you witness others' deaths, sometimes deceased loved ones appear vibrant and alive. The emotional tone varies dramatically. Some death dreams terrify, others bring surprising peace or closure. Many people report heightened realism in these dreams, with vivid sensory details and emotional depth that lingers upon waking. Unlike popular superstitions suggest, dreaming of someone's death doesn't predict actual harm to them. Instead, these powerful dreams typically process deeper psychological material about transformation and impermanence. Death in dreams typically symbolizes transformation, endings, and new beginnings. These dreams often occur during major life transitions, career changes, relationships ending, moving to a new place, or shifting beliefs. Rather than predicting actual death, these dreams usually reflect the death of one phase of life as you transition to another. Sometimes they process actual grief or anticipatory grief, other times they symbolize releasing past identities or relationships. The specific details provide important context. Your own death might represent surrender or transformation of your identity. A stranger's death could symbolize unknown aspects of yourself being integrated. A loved one's death might reflect changing relationship dynamics or unacknowledged feelings toward them. Your emotional response within the dream offers additional insights. Terror suggests resistance to change. Acceptance might indicate readiness for transition. Confusion could reflect ambivalence about current changes in your life. Death dreams appear in the earliest recorded dream traditions across cultures. Ancient Egyptian dream manuals interpreted death dreams as potential omens but also as spiritual messages about transformation. Many indigenous traditions view death dreams as sacred communications from ancestors or spirit guides. Eastern philosophical traditions often interpret death dreams positively, as signs of spiritual evolution and the transcendence of ego attachments. Western traditions have historically viewed them more ominously, though modern dream work approaches have moved toward transformation-based interpretations. Jungian psychology views death dreams as encounters with the archetype of rebirth, the necessary symbolic dying of outdated aspects of the self to allow new development. Neurological research reveals death dreams activate different brain regions than most anxiety dreams. While typical nightmares primarily trigger fear centers like the amygdala, death dreams often engage contemplative regions associated with self-reflection and meaning-making. Studies show death dreams increase during significant life transitions and around age milestones, turning 30, 40, 50, etc., suggesting they help process identity changes. They also appear with greater frequency among those experiencing actual grief, potentially serving as processing mechanisms for loss. Interesting research among hospice workers shows they experience death dreams far more frequently than the general population, but report these dreams as primarily positive and meaningful rather than frightening, suggesting prolonged exposure to death may transform how our unconscious processes mortality. If death dreams appear in your life, consider, what significant change or ending am I experiencing or resisting? What aspect of my identity or life may need to die to allow for growth? What unresolved grief might I be processing? If a specific person appears in the dream, how is my relationship with them changing? Many traditions encourage honoring these dreams rather than fearing them, perhaps through creative expression, ritualized acknowledgement of transitions, or conscious reflection on their guidance. After 20 years at the same company, Maria took early retirement and began experiencing dreams of her own funeral. In these dreams, she would watch colleagues deliver eulogies focusing exclusively on her work accomplishments while missing who she really was. Through discussing these dreams in therapy, Maria recognized they reflected her anxiety about losing her professional identity and her fear that she had sacrificed too much of her authentic self to her career. The dreams were processing both the death of her professional identity and her ambivalence about that loss. Maria worked with these dreams by creating a retirement ritual that honored her professional contributions while also celebrating the new phase beginning. She also began exploring interests she had postponed during her career. Gradually, the funeral dreams transformed into dreams of discovering new rooms in her home, a symbolic shift from endings to new possibilities. Finding new rooms. You're in your home when you discover a door you've never noticed before. Behind it lies an entire room or series of rooms you didn't know existed. Sometimes these spaces are dusty and abandoned, sometimes beautifully furnished, sometimes vast and impossible, entire landscapes within a small apartment. Often these rooms contain forgotten treasures or surprising inhabitants. The emotional experience typically combines wonder, excitement, and a strange sense of recognition. How could you have overlooked these spaces in your own home? Many people report these dreams as among their most vivid and meaningful, often remembering them years later. What makes these dreams particularly fascinating is their consistent appearance across cultures and their overwhelmingly positive emotional tone. Unlike many common dreams, these typically feel like discoveries rather than threats. These dreams often represent self-discovery and unexplored potential. The new spaces symbolize aspects of yourself or opportunities you haven't yet recognized. The condition of these rooms offers additional insight. Are they beautiful and filled with treasures, or dusty and neglected? These dreams frequently occur during periods of personal growth or when you're contemplating new directions in life. They often appear during therapy or other self-development work, suggesting your unconscious is revealing previously inaccessible aspects of yourself. The specific features of the rooms provide important clues to their meaning. Libraries might represent untapped knowledge or wisdom, bedrooms could symbolize intimate aspects of yourself, basements often connect to unconscious material, attics might hold memories or outdated beliefs. Your emotional response to the discovery matters too. Excitement suggests readiness for growth, anxiety might indicate resistance to acknowledging these aspects of yourself, familiarity despite novelty often suggests reconnection with authentic aspects of yourself long ignored. The motif of discovering. New rooms appears consistently across dream traditions, often associated with spiritual awakening or expanded consciousness. In Sufism, such dreams might represent unveiling aspects of divine reality. In Buddhist traditions, they could symbolize expanding awareness beyond the limited self. Jungian psychology interprets these dreams as encounters with the collective unconscious, accessing archetypal material and expanded potential beyond the personal self. The house typically represents the dreamer's complete psyche, with new rooms revealing previously unconscious aspects now becoming accessible. Literary and artistic traditions have long used the symbolism of discovered rooms, from Gothic novels to modern films, suggesting this dream motif resonates with deep human experiences of mystery and revelation. Cognitive researchers have noted interesting patterns in new room dreams. They typically occur during periods of neuroplasticity, when the brain is forming new neural connections and integrating new information. This suggests they might reflect actual cognitive expansion and integration processes. Studies of people in creative fields show they experience these dreams more frequently during productive periods, often reporting that discoveries within the dreams directly inspire waking creative work. This suggests possible connections between these dreams and creative problem solving. Research among people in therapy shows these dreams often appear at breakthrough points in the therapeutic process, potentially signaling the integration of previously dissociated aspects of experience. If new room dreams appear in your life, consider what unexpected potential or opportunities might be available that I haven't recognized. What aspects of myself have I neglected or forgotten? What new direction or expansion am I ready for? How might I more fully inhabit my complete self? Many therapists and dreamworkers suggest actively engaging with these dreams through creative expression, meditation that revisits the discovered spaces, or concrete exploration of new potential in waking life. After years of focusing solely on analytical work as an engineer, Thomas began experiencing recurring dreams of discovering an art studio in his home's basement. In these dreams, he would find half-finished sculptures and paintings clearly made by him, though he had no waking memory of creating them. Through journaling about these dreams, Thomas recognized they reflected creative aspects of himself he had abandoned after childhood. The dreams coincided with a period of questioning his career satisfaction and longing for more creative expression. Inspired by these dreams, Thomas signed up for a weekend sculpting workshop, something he would never have considered before. This small step led to a regular creative practice that didn't replace his engineering work but complemented it, bringing greater fulfillment and even enhancing his problem-solving abilities in his technical work. The dreams of the art studio continued but transformed. The space became progressively more organized and active, mirroring his growing integration of creativity into his waking life. Water and flooding. Water appears in many dreams, from gentle streams to overwhelming floods or tsunamis. The forms vary dramatically. Sometimes you're observing rising water from safety, sometimes struggling to stay afloat, sometimes discovering water damage in your home, sometimes watching massive waves approach from shore. The emotional tone ranges from peaceful contemplation to terror, depending on the water's behavior and your relationship to it. Many people report remarkably realistic sensory experiences: the sound of rushing water, the physical sensation of wetness, the pressure of submersion. What makes water dreams particularly significant is their universal appearance across cultures and throughout human history. Water's symbolic power transcends specific cultural contexts. The state of water in your dreams often reflects your emotional state. Calm, clear water typically represents emotional clarity and peace, while turbulent or murky water suggests emotional confusion or overwhelm. Flooding or tidal waves may indicate feeling emotionally in over your head or that repressed feelings are breaking through to consciousness. Swimming successfully through water often signifies navigating emotions effectively. The specific context matters greatly. Rising water in your home might represent emotional issues invading your personal space. Being caught in rain could symbolize cleansing or renewal. Standing at the ocean's edge often connects to contemplating the unconscious. Being underwater might represent immersion in emotion or creativity. Your response to the water provides additional insights. Fear suggests feeling overwhelmed by emotions. Calm acceptance might indicate emotional integration. Struggling against currents could represent resistance to emotional realities. Water symbolism appears consistently in dream traditions worldwide. Ancient Mesopotamian dream manuals interpreted water dreams as communications from specific deities. Taoist dream traditions saw clear water as spiritual clarity and stagnant water as emotional blockage. Jung considered water the most common symbol for the unconscious itself, the vast reservoir of psychic material beyond conscious awareness. From this perspective,